I just maxed out my pedometer and walked 100,000 steps around St. Pete, Florida.
So I got up at 3 a.m., stoked to learn more about a city I already love, then left my friend Emma's house for downtown. Walking before sunrise is always the scariest part, so I ran sometimes just to be safe. But once I got to the bay, there were all kinds of people around and it was fun. I listened to whatever music or audiobooks I wanted and thought about how nice it is that sidewalks let you go wherever you want. Agency. I went to the pier and I liked how many people were waiting for the sunrise, so while I waited, I paced and watched a dolphin. The sunrise did end up being a nothing burger, but the morning was glorious. The pier is so beautiful. Then I kind of just flopped around and stalled until 10 a.m. when the museum started opening up. Downtown St. Pete is so cute. The dolly would have cost $32, but I used my pass to my local museum and got in for free because of reciprocal benefits. I don't condone the life or work of Salvador Dali, but I like his older stuff, and the Abraham Lincoln piece is fun. The building is interesting, and the gardens are cute too. Next, I went to the James Museum of Western and Wildlife Art, which I did happily pay for. I made 2 laps because I wanted to see the art, but I had to keep walking, and I'm pretty sure it looks suspicious. I had lunch in the museum's cafe, and it was this delicious gnocchi with butternut squash sauce and bacon, and it was like $9. Then I went to the Museum of the American Arts and Crafts Movement and got in for free, and I thought it would be like knitting projects or collages, but it was mostly things like furniture, lamps, fireplaces, and frames, and the framed frame cracked me up. I bought some emergency deodorant, then visited the pink buildings of 4th Street South and 4th Avenue South. They're supposed to be demolished, but local artists showed up and painted them and made them beautiful and interesting. My friend Matt had told me that Central Avenue is full of cool small businesses for like 32 blocks straight, so I walked that and it was true. Interesting everywhere, the sidewalks were colorful. St. Pete is a really special city and has a true community feel. I also went to the Imagine Museum and got in for free. I've taken my kids there many times. I have no idea how they make this stuff. A woman named Trish Duggan divorced a billionaire and founded the museum, and she's also a prolific artist and very into aliens and Scientology. It's a quirky museum. I wandered over to the Warehouse Arts District because my friend Emma told me I have to see the Artists Enclave over there, and I stepped into multiple galleries and had some rich conversations with artists about their process, and I couldn't believe I got to peek into all this stuff. The art community is so generous. The rain had been threatening, and then it delivered, and I had no idea what to do about it. The rest of my walk was a bit of a trudge, and Central changes sharply after around 31st Street, and it's sad but no surprise that a highway displaced and disadvantaged families and essentially cut the city in half, and South St. Pete is disconnected from the economic growth closer to downtown. Walking almost the entirety of Central Avenue, I really felt that. I ended up at a cemetery for some reason, then I got back onto the Pinellas Trail and onto the pedestrian overpass, and it made me feel like $1,000,000. I saw a kid on a scooter, and that made me happy that these things exist because agency. Then I made my way to Treasure Island, which lacked sidewalks, which is kind of wild because the pedestrian paths on the bridges are great. I was on my 4th pair of socks, and 80 to 90,000 steps were the hardest. I was in a good bit of pain by then, but after I put my feet in the ocean, I was ready to finish my walk and rest up at my friend Emma's house. St. Pete is a fantastic city, and there's so much to see and appreciate. Check it out for sure. I learned so much, and I love these long walks. I'm sending hugs.